Good day. Welcome to this lecture series in Godot.
Hello, good day. Welcome back. This is another lecture in Godot. This is the second lecture in instancing. This will be a bit more advanced than the previous lecture. So let's get started. We have two players. We have player one and we have player two. We instance the player inside of the level scene, and now we can work on editing the instances. So let's say we have some nodes of character and we have many different versions of it in a game. So let's say you're a player. Well, we're calling this instance player one, but let's say this was an enemy. And let's say we have like about 100 of the enemy in the game. So let's say we have an enemy, and let's say right now this enemy is, what can I say, blue, and you want to change that enemy from blue to about a color like red. So what does it mean? Does that mean we need to go to every version of the enemy and change its color one by one? No, we don't need to make all changes like that. So what you need to do is go to the original scene. So this is player one. This is the instance. We can go to player one, which is the original scene here, and we can make changes inside of it. So let's say we have the collision. Where did I put the gravity one? Yes, so gravity. So we go on this node here, I think it was the rig body 2D. Yes, the rig body 2D, and we can make changes right here. So let's see this gravity scale here is 1, right? So let's shift just to about 5. So if we change to 5, we have to save. So press Control S. We save. We see that will not appear right there when we save. Then let's go to level 1, the scene, and let's go to player 1. When we look at the gravity scale, this is 5. When we look at the gravity scale, this is 5. So let's try to do something again. So let's change the gravity scale to 3. We change to 3 and press S. And if we go to level 1 scene, we see the gravity scale for player 2 is also 3, and the gravity scale for player 1 is also 3. So we did not really need to change. If we wanted to change gravity scale to 3, and we wanted all the players, well, in this case, the players here, the player scenes, if we wanted all to be 3, we could have manually changed it to 3, or we could have gone to player 1 right here, and could have made the change right there by the gravity scale. Now, I showed you that example for a reason. If you make a change here in the original, so you have the original scene here, if you make a change here, it will affect all the scenes. And if we let's say we want to affect one scene only. Let's say we want to change one scene only. So we have player 1, and let's say we want this to be 3, so we leave that 3. But player 2, rather than leaving this at 3, let's put this at 5. And so we're leaving this at 5, and then we're leaving this at 1. So then we can see, you know what? I want to make this noticeable. So I'll put this at, let's say, 0. So player 1 is 0. And player 2, I'll put this at 1. Now we know if it's at 0, it will have no gravity, so it will stay here. And if it's at 1, it will fall. So if you go here and press here, we play the current scene. We see 1 drop, player 2 drop, player 1 stayed right here because this had a gravity of 0. So that's how so this is just one example we can see when we are working with instances. And I want to mention, if you look at player 2 here, so we see level 1, scene level 1, and if you look at player 2, we have the gravity scale here, and we see this kind of reset arrow here. Why do we have a reset arrow? Because the value we have in this instance is different from the value we have, the default value that we have for player 1 right about now. The value is 3. So if you click reset, it will go back to 3. So let's press reset. You see it will go to 3. The same thing here. If we go to and set reset, this will go to 3. You see, we set to 3. So this will here will be the default value, and that will determine where things will go to. Now, We see here now the value is 3 and we see the arrow here. If we reset this, we'll go back to the default value this was, and this will be 1. If you click reset, you see this going back to 1, and all the other players, well, this has not gone to 1 yet because we didn't save. But if we go back to here and press save, you see now it's 1. So we are making progress. So that's very good. Okay, now another thing we want to mention is that when we instance a scene, the scene acts like a node. So if you look at player 1 right here, player 1 has no children. So when we go into level 1 scene and player 1 is as a scene has been instanced and it's like a node, it has no children. But when we go to enter the player 1 scene, we see player 1 has 2 children. It has the sprite 2D and also has the collision shape 2D as children. So that's just something you can note. So if we have this here, I have sprite, let's go to sprite 2D, it's a child. And let's say we want to change the size. So to change the size from 1 to, let's say, about 3. So it's bigger. Press Control S to receive. If we go to level 1, we can see the player 1 node has gotten bigger because we changed the child. So we made a change that child in the scene player 1, and because we made a change here, that change affected all the corresponding nodes, which was instance of the scene in the other scene here. So this is something you can note as well. So you might be wondering if you want to make a change to an instance. So an instance of a scene. So you want to change this one, but you don't want to change this one. So you want to change player 1. What you can do, you can right click player 1 and it's supposed to have an instance children, editable children. Yes, so we go to editable children, and now you can click the sprite, and you can go to the transform, and you can change this to, let's say, 1, and we can save. Well, we didn't really need to save, but we could save here. And you know, if we press this refresh, well, reset, it will go back to 3 because the default value is 3. So we'll put this at 1, and you can see this player 1 is different from player 2, and that's because we added the instance of a child in this instance of a scene. So I mean, it sounds kind of technical, but I mean, it's technical, but it's really not all that difficult. So we see this sprite 2D here, this child has the scale of 1, right? So I want to show this last thing for this video. So if we have an instance of a scene and we edit the instance, so we could edit it from the root, we could edit it from a child, we make a specific change, and if we go back into the original scene here, and we make a change, let's say we change scale from, like, let's say 3 to 5. Obviously, we change scale from 3 to 5, press save, then it has become bigger. But if we do it like that, what will happen? This will get bigger when we go back to level 1. Each of the scenes that were not edited will hold this size 5. However, the instance of the scene that we just edited will not take this value. So if we go to here, you see this is still in level 1. This is still size 1, scale 1. However, this one scene 2, player 2, it has taken, well, it has obtained the bigger size, but this is now the default value. This is now operating with a custom value. So that's just that's what I wanted to show you for this video, how to edit instances of a scene. So I'll end this video here. Thank you.